Hey, this is the Profit First REI podcast. This is your host, David Richter. We have a special guest today, Caylee Robles. And this is a great episode if you are having trouble not thinking of yourself as a business owner, no matter how big your business is or how small your business is, and being able to set up the systems that will actually help you keep more of your money, have less financial stress in your life, and help you to get to where you want to be as a business owner. There's a lot of great information here and a lot of great insight into Caylee's personal journey of using Profit First, using these financial systems in an area like real estate that could be so up and down. She helps understand how to really even that out with this system, but also with the mindset behind it. You'll learn a ton if you listen to her. Enjoy the episode. Welcome back to the Profit First REI podcast. Caylee Robles, we have you in the studio today. Thank you for being on today, Caylee.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I'm excited too because I get to know you with one of the groups that we're a part of, and you raise your hand. Yes, I know Profit First. So I was like, okay, you got to tell your story here. So we'll get into that. But I will be very honest, Caylee. I saw something come through when you put in some of your information. Is it true that you're a former CPA?
Yeah, so I started. I decided when I was like 8 years old, I was like, I'm gonna be an accountant. Like I really wanted to be an accountant. So I went to the University of Wisconsin. I'm from Green Bay. I went there and
I'm sorry. I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so I think we need
Okay.
to shut this down right now. Just kidding.
I don't feel strongly one way or another. So
Okay, good.
go Bears.
Me either.
I was kidding. I went there specifically to do accounting. When I got there, they were like, you can just do accounting or you can get your master's and become a CPA, and that's like the harder route. And I was like, okay, I like hard stuff, let's do that. And so I became a CPA, and I had been like I went to school for 5 years, got my master's, studied, passed them all, and then I started working, and I was like, I truly hate this. Like this is just like within like a month. Like I feel like they gave me my first assignment and it was a travel assignment, and I was like, okay, that sucks. And then I started working and I'm like, I don't like this at all. And so like within months, I was like every night during like busy season, I was online being like accounting jobs at real estate companies and like trying to move into real estate right away. But yeah, so I do have that as background, and I call myself a retired CPA now because after like 3 years of being in real estate, I was like, I'm not using it, and it's 40 hours a year, so I'm gonna drop it.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I just saw that come through and I thought that was so interesting that you're in the CPA field. You said something interesting there before we go into your real estate background and how you got into real estate and all that. You said you like doing hard things. Now, is that part of your personality? Did you train yourself? I don't know, parents or someone else that you emulated? Like that to me can be a skill or a personality trait where you're like, I want to do what's hard, because that's not what most people do. Most people don't say, give me the hard thing. They'd be like, oh, this is the easier route. Boom, sign me up. So where do you think that originated? And yeah.
Yeah, I think probably my parents. Like my mom has never had a W-2 job, I don't think, in her whole life. She started in sales, was always in like really like working her ass off for so long, and it wasn't until I was like in college that she finally started to reap the reward of all of the work that she had been doing for probably like at that point like 25 years. And then my dad was in sales as well, but he was like he did pharmaceutical sales, and so like both of them, like they traveled a lot for work. They did everything they could to provide for our family, and I think the belief was always like, if you work really hard, things come to you. And I think that's where it comes from. So it's not like I like to do hard things just to like do hard things. It's more so like, okay, like the CPA route, it was like, it's going to be really hard, but then it like opens the opportunity to like work abroad and like potentially like I had I did a shadow at Deloitte in Amsterdam. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's like opens the doors for other people. So if they were like, you can either be an accountant or a CPA and they're the exact same thing, I would be like, okay, well, that's stupid. But if I can like potentially be making hundreds of thousands of dollars at one point versus like doing a traditional accounting role, like you're probably never going to hit six figures if you're just like doing the like books basically.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I love that. it always fascinates me because the people that I get on the podcast and the people in the real estate space, it seems like they all share that trait. Like, I want to do something hard. Well, and they're the ones that stick it out, like for a while too. They don't just, the first thing comes along and they just jump out like a lot of people do. So I'm just always very curious where that originated. And I love that you brought that up. Which does bring me to when you were filling out some of the info, you said you went into real estate and there was kind of a dry season right at the very beginning, right? Like, so what was that like? You were on the CPA track and then you went into real estate and it's like, it's not working or like can't get deals. Like, what was that transition period like?
I mean, the transition period was not a short period. I feel like it
Okay.
lasted probably 3 years. So, it was like how long I had been in accounting. So, I didn't just like, I'll give you a background. So I started at Deloitte doing auditing. I was there for 18 months, but basically from like month 3, I had been like looking elsewhere. When I did my internship, I audited at a real estate company in Chicago. And that's when I was like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is a tangible thing. I was auditing student housing. And I went back to get my master's and I took real estate courses at that time. And so then I transferred my offer to Austin, not thinking about like how that was going to impact what I was doing at work. And in Austin, Deloitte is super small, so they didn't have real estate.
Mhm.
So they were like, if you want to do real estate, you have to move to Houston, Dallas, or back to Chicago. And I didn't want to do that. So from Deloitte, I ended up making a change just for more money. I got an offer at EY doing financial services. So same devil, but like being paid better. So I had it figured out like where in real estate I was going to be. Because every time I interviewed with people, like I felt like in real estate, they didn't understand what a CPA was. And like they didn't understand that like by being a CPA, I felt like I could do anything like in real estate. So they kept being like, oh, we have this accounting position. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do accounting. I want to like do real estate. From there, I finally found a job at a travel company where I was doing underwriting for, they're like a luxury, I would say like if Airbnb Lux actually leased every single property, so you got the exact same experience at every place. I was underwriting the properties that we would end up leasing. And these were $1 million plus homes. And that was cool because it was my territory was the Caribbean, Mexico, and South Florida. So I got to go to Costa Rica at one point. But then from there, I like got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm doing a lot and I want to do more. I want to make more. I want to have more opportunities. And it wasn't available at that company. So I found a job opening at New Western, which is like basically licensed wholesaling in Florida. I had already moved here at that point, and so I became an agent to work there. And so that was the first time where I was self-employed. So like I had been in real estate for a year, like unlimited PTO benefits, getting paid decent. And then when I became an agent, that was when it was like, you eat what you kill.
Yeah.
And when I had started at that job, it was at the end of 2022. And so I was new to Florida and also like wasn't following the real estate market that much. Like I didn't realize how much the market was slowing down. And so I started at this company thinking like, oh, if you work hard, it's going to be easy. And then I was working 75, 80 hours a week, like obsessed with my phone because my phone meant like I was making money. And I spent like, I think 2 months not making anything. And then I got to a point where I like made enough to like cover my credit card and like never saving though. Like I was literally living paycheck to paycheck in that regard.
Yeah.
So basically from the time I left my like W-2 for 3 years, I didn't save or invest that entire time. Like I was just getting by.
Yeah.
And then I left there, started doing wholesaling, and I kind of sent it in the description to you. Like I went 6 months without making any money, and then me and my partner and I made $90,000 in like 3 months. So it was like nothing and then a lot, and then trying to figure out what to do with it.
What did you do with that right then? So, okay, you got the 90K in. You don't have Profit First at this point, though, right? So, what do you
We
do?
did have Profit First. So
did you? Okay.
I don't remember for sure, but I feel like my partner might have been the one that introduced me to Profit First, the one that I was doing wholesaling with.
Yep.
Because she was also an accountant. She was also super into like the financials behind real estate investing.
Yeah.
And she was investing on her own too. So, I think at that point I had already read Profit First. Like I was reading Profit First when I had no money. I was reading it when I was at New Western, and I was like, okay, cool. Got my LLC set up. Because actually I for sure was, because Relay just asked me to update my business description today, and it said I'm a real estate agent at New Western. And so
Nice.
I'm like, I haven't been there in over 3 years. But yeah, so I set it up then before I even started wholesaling. And I just like, basically the money came in. I don't think we had anything on credit cards. I feel like we both took like $20,000 out because we were like, we literally need to like pay our credit card off and just like put a little money into savings so that if we don't make money again, we aren't feeling stressed. And then stuff happened where like we needed to split the company up. So, I ended up paying her out, and then for a while I was using the money to pay for a VA. And then it got to a point where I just wasn't making money still. So I was like, I'm just going to I'm going to stop all the bleeding, cut out all the expenses, and just like try to save whatever I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, because when you wrote in as well, there was a 2-year period where you were trying to do Profit First. Was that after you broke apart from your business partner and it was like, it was feast or famine, and like, okay, is that what was happening then? Or was that during the time you had a partner as well and you were, just trying to make it work?
So I think Profit First was from when I first became an agent, probably within the first like 6 months. I started I got the Relay account. I like set it up. I knew what I should have been doing with taxes, but like I had all the accounts set up, and then stuff would happen where like, okay, I need to pay my credit card off. So I would take money out of the taxes account or whatever. And like, I'm talking about like my personal credit card, because I would have, mine is super simple being an agent. So the only time wholesaling was a little bit different where we had a profit account, but basically mine is owner's distribution, the expenses, which is connected to my business card, and then my tax account. So I would just like pull money out of the tax and expenses, and just like pay my personal stuff off. So that started when I was at New Western. It happened again towards the end of the wholesaling company, before I was just like, let me close everything out. I'll move that into my, I think the money I just took and moved into my personal account. And then, I really started, like when the wholesaling ended, I had already been doing a lot of agent stuff on my own.
Okay.
I went from New Western in 2023 to James's team, James Lascara. So I've been on his team now for 3 years. And at that point, like I was doing both in tandem. I was an agent and wholesaling. So I was making money in that agent account, even when I wasn't doing it like full time, if that makes sense.
So what was the turning point then when you felt like you were fully engaging with Profit First? Like, was it a dollar amount, like you were making enough every month and you could split it out? Or was it like, no, I just have to buckle down and do this? Like, was there a turning point ever where you felt like, okay, it's clicking now?
It was making more money. That's why I feel like sometimes people is like, what's the secret? And like Profit First, I think for me was really good, just because there's so many people that I talk to that like don't save for their taxes and like don't even think about it. For me, it was never like not thinking about it. It was like I have my credit card at 22% is more important than like having these taxes saved up.
Sure.
So I think probably the beginning of 2025. Like I think the end of 2024, I had a closing, and that was my last closing that like I immediately got it, and it immediately went to my personal account to pay everything off. And then into 2025, I started working with a client where I was doing repeat business. And that's when I started making money. So it really came down to just making more.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where my split into my owner's distribution account has been big enough that I don't have to take any money out of it or move any extra money into it.
All right. I have to pause the episode real quick. If you're a real estate investor who's tired of wondering where your money is going or why you're closing deals but still feeling broke, you need to talk to Simple CFO. Simple CFO is Profit First certified and fully endorsed by Mike McAlowitz, the creator of Profit First himself. Our team specializes in helping real estate investors finally get control of their cash flow so you keep more money you pay yourself consistently, and build a business that doesn't run on chaos. We'll help you implement the Profit First system the right way, set up the financial processes you've been missing, and give you a dedicated fractional CFO who actually understands investing and keeping track of your numbers on flips, wholesales, rentals, private lending, all of it. So if you want predictable profit instead of living deal to deal, head over to simplecfo.com and book your financial clarity call today. That's simplecfo.com. Stop living in confusion and start keeping the money you work so hard to earn. Now, back to the episode. Well, then let me ask this. When you started making the money, were you glad that you had read Profit First and had a foundation of the accounts and everything so that way you could have it moving forward?
Yeah, 100%. I'm glad that I was doing, like, I had the account set up before I was making money. I think there was a part of me that probably stressed a little bit where I'm like, oh my gosh, I like don't have anything in here, and like that's stressful. Like I literally paid my 2024 taxes with money that I made in 2025, right?
Yeah.
So that was when I was first making money, and then now I love it because my husband doesn't have any idea that we have money in my business account. I don't. It just like gives me like, it makes me feel like calm knowing that it's there, and because I have everything set up as a S corp now.
Yeah.
So all of 2025, I was an S corp. So every 1st and 15th of the month, I get a paid salary. I think my salary is actually down to like $9 every 2 weeks, but because of like my SEP IRA and all of the like different contributions I try to do. But then I have my owner's distributions on top of that. So that money comes in, and like I feel like I could go 6 months without making money and would have everything ready to go.
Wow. Well, you just answered my next question. My next question was going to be real estate can be, feast or famine, the roller coaster, right? The ups and downs. Sounds like you've set up the system now to where you can pay yourself consistently. You are paying yourself consistently. You're also doing the distributions. Sounds like you have a little bit of buffer too that this system has. Have you given yourself cushion, I guess, as well? Because it sounds like you do with this system.
I think it just comes down to, again, making more money. Where like 2025, I made double the amount of money that I had made in 3 years prior. And then 2026 already, I've made, as of right now, as much money as I made last year.
Awesome.
So like I'm already on, like my goal is to double what I did last year. So like in 2 years, I can hopefully quadruple what I had done in 2024.
Yeah.
So it comes down to a little bit of like the doing hard things that you talked about before. Like if I had quit after year 2, I would have walked away with such a horrible taste in my mouth about real estate. Like I would have been like, that was horrible. I would never do it again. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I started at one of the worst times. And so I've been really good at like just having grit the whole time. Whereas like now I only know being in a bad market. And so I'm excited for when the market gets good, because I feel like I'll have gone through the trenches. But when people ask like, should I become an agent? I don't think that everyone should be an agent. Like I feel like people have to be willing to suffer for a couple years to get to the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like you got to the good stuff faster than most people do because of the systems that you've put in place as well to protect yourself. Where if you have had it sounds like this is a great year for you. So you're able to, with a system, put money aside and put it in its proper place. Where there's some people, I don't know, do you see this as well? Because you work with flippers and you work with builders and all that. Do you see them making the same mistakes that you did early on of just like either transferring money or not having the money ready, or like just being in financial panic mode in some instances? Do you see that in the marketplace as well?
Yeah, I think that, so a lot of times people are an agent. So James actually pointed this out. They are an agent and they decide to go into investing and they go that way. But I actually like had done some investing at the beginning and then was like, that wasn't fun. Like I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of risk, and then moved more into the agent side. And so there are so many people that I see in the market right now that are over leveraged, that are like literally hands around their neck. Like, where am I going to be able to pay for all of these expenses that I have every month? And so I think it's probably a mix of not having the best systems, but also trying to do too many deals in a market where things are consistently shifting and you're making less than you thought you would. So that I think is really hard. And there's so many people that I talk to that are quietly in financial distress that, yeah, so they don't publicly talk about it. And so for me, like, I probably could make more money if I decided to like go heavier into the real, like the investing side, but being an agent and not having as much risk, like, I really like that.
Right. Yes. And I love that. And well, I love that you know that about yourself, because a lot of people get stuck, right? They like the deals. They're the deal junkies and like, let's do more deals. But then they end up in financial chaos, where you even said you could make more money, but making more doesn't necessarily mean keeping more if you're having to spend so much more to get it out the door, or especially flipping, right? If you're flipping or something like that, there's lots of cash outlays before you see the return. And you're like, oh my God, like, I hope this comes back. Like, that's where, as an agent, that was such a great insight that you said, where you went the investor route and then became an agent. So I would really like for you to explain the mindset behind that. Why do you think there's less risk being an agent than there is in the investing side? Because some people out there as investors probably need to hear that mindset. So I would love for you to explain your thought process on that.
Yeah, I mean, as a investor, you're taking on all the risk, and as an agent, my only risk is not getting paid, but I don't have money out, right? I
Okay.
might have photos and videos. Maybe I spent $500 on that stuff for a listing, but that's it. Whereas like I have other investors that like they're on the line for $300,000 on a property, and it happens so often where all of a sudden like things pop up in the inspection. I had one where it was like um she had done a full rehab and like in 2023, and then we were going to sell it, and all of a sudden we found out that a lot of the things that had been rehab were done incorrectly, and it was another $10,000 in repairs to do things that she had already paid for 3 years ago. So new electric panel, new HVAC, like duct work and stuff.
Yeah.
And so thankfully she still ended up netting money on that property, but like there's people that end up all of a sudden like having to bring money to close, or not necessarily bring money to close, but don't get the full amount of money that they put into their loan in the beginning. And so those are the things where it's like you're actually losing money. Whereas for me, like my risk is my time. I put all this time into the listing and we don't end up, there's been like, I think 3 or 4 listings that I've had canceled this year. But I've also had like, I think close to 30 that have closed. So like
Yeah.
there are some that I put time into where it was wasted time, but I personally would rather waste my time than waste my money. And I also am like I think because of coming from the accounting side, I'm like a big advocate of investing, like being diversified in your investments. So like
Yeah.
right now, it's not like I'm making money and just like spending it. Like the reason why I like keep money in my business account is because as soon as I started making real money, I upped everything. So like our savings account, our investment account are all aggressively being invested into my 401, or not my 401k, my SEP IRA, since I am self-employed.
Yep.
And then my like joint investment account with my husband. So like I'm big into investing in the market.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like some people in real estate, that's all they're focused on is real estate. And I'm like, I see real estate as a different perspective. Like our home, I was fortunate enough that my husband was able to buy it before we got married. And so like our house we bought with a 3% interest rate that when we leave, it'll turn into a rental property.
Yep.
But I'm not trying to build a portfolio of 100 properties. Like I see this as like a little gem that we got. And then the next property, like I'm always thinking about that. Like my husband will be like, I want to like build this big house or whatever. And I'm like, if we can't turn it into a rental property after, or like be able to leave and like cover it, like that's not something that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
So like, I'm always thinking like, if we're going to buy again, how can we turn that into a potential investment? Or we're going to live in it for 30 years so that we're not like losing money when we go to sell again.
Yeah. I love this. Caylee, this is such a breath of fresh air here on the podcast, because it sounds like you really know what you want, and then you're actively pursuing that. There's not a lot of outside forces like, oh yeah, you can make more money, and like, don't you want to do all these deals and all that? You're like, no, I like the risk that I'm taking here. I'd rather risk my time than my money at this stage of your business life, of this stage of your life in general. And then also, you have the habits, and you've even upped those good habits with like, no, I want to put more into the business, or I want to put more into savings or into these investment accounts, and making sure that the money, like you're controlling the money and you're not being controlled by your business, you are controlling it. So this was really good because like you said, a lot of people go from being agents into investing. You took the reverse route from investing into the agent side, but it also fits with what you want and where you are with your family and just all these things. And then you have plans. It's like you've got good plans. You don't need 100-unit portfolio here. You don't need to do those things. It's like, what's the next step for you? But I also believe you've put yourself in a good position to be even able to think like that because you have some money in the business, and that it gives you that breathing room to be able to say, what do we want to do next, and not what do I need to do? What deals do I need to go after? So no, I love that. That was great. And I think a lot of people need to hear it. Some people just like to do things for the sake of doing them. And it sounds like you're very intentional with what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, there was years of me doing a lot of stuff to like hopefully make money one day.
Yeah.
And I think in the last year and a half, and like that's when my like favorite word is no. I feel like I've gotten so
Nice.
good at saying yes to things and no to others. And you kind of have to do that, right? Like at the beginning of your business, you have to say yes to everything.
Yep.
You have to learn, do all those things. I did that for 2.5 years. And then as I've gotten more clear on what I want, it's nice having time to like actually enjoy the life that we're building, right?
Right. Exactly. And would you say that part of that is that you have some money set aside in your business as well too, that gives you some of that financial peace of mind as well?
Yeah. I think there's a part of me that like has to remind myself that I'm not poor anymore, or like on the verge of not being able to pay my credit card.
I love that.
So it's like retraining my nervous system to be like, we are okay. Cause I always like, I still get to a point where I've got like $300 left in my checking account, and I'm like, shit, I need to like transfer some money over. Like, I don't know why. I just like to, it kind of gives me a little bit of pressure to like go out and do more. But yeah, I think also like having my account set up, and I love like with the relay being able to have like everything is automatic. Like all the money comes in, it immediately splits up. My credit card's paid automatically. My SEP IRA gets paid out through my owner's distributions accounts too. So unless I'm like on the verge because I spent a little bit too much, I don't have to touch anything. And so that's my favorite.
I love that. Well, you've systematized and you've automated those habits, and now they're paying off for you. And I do love what you said there, where it's like, okay, I might get low in this one account, but you still have money other places, and you have to remind yourself, okay, I'm not destitute here. Like I can enjoy my life, but I also put that, Profit First can also put that fire under you, because if your OpEx account is getting low, it's like, oh shoot, like, yes, I do need to do more deals. But it's just that one account that's low. That doesn't mean I don't have some money somewhere else, or like inside of my personal finances or wherever you've put the money. So I really love that perspective as well, because I'd much rather investors be in that position where they're like, or agents or whoever, to be like, okay, yeah, maybe one account's low, but I still have money over here. So I just have.
I would.
Go ahead.
Feast or famine that you mentioned before, I work with a lot of agents that I feel like are also investing, so I don't really see it as much.
Sure.
But then when I talk to agents that are like on deals with me, so they're not at my brokerage, I feel like they say a lot of things where I'm like, oh, you like the feast or famine or whatever. I'm like, yeah, the beginning of the year for me, like the fall and winter for me is normally really busy, and then the summer's super chill. So I don't think I might have only closed like one deal this month, and it was super small. But it doesn't really matter because I have all this money built up still. Whereas I feel like other people don't have a business account. Like I think most agents, all the money is going to them personally, and then it's just in their checking account. And I'm like, if I had all that money sitting in my checking account, I wouldn't know what to do with it. Versus now it's like, I love how it's just like every 2 weeks slowly like giving me a little bit to pay everything off. So that I'm not just like holding it all, and then you get that feast or famine where like you get a bunch of money, you get excited, you celebrate, and then 4 months later you're not closing deals and you have nothing to back it up.
I love that, and I love that you're pointing that out. So which leads me to one of my final questions here. So if someone is in that spot, they're in feast or famine, they're just moving everything to their personal account, they've got the sporadic income, or maybe they're dipping into different accounts, what's one move you tell them to make this week to get back on a good track?
Set it up as a business. I think that agents don't set it up as a business. And so like agent name is Caylee Robles, LLC. So I have everything go through that. It goes straight into my business account, and then you can easily make the whatever accounts you want to make, right? If you just want to have the owner's distributions and taxes, whatever, but it's a business, we're self-employed, and we need to act like it. And so that to me is the most important.
Awesome. So if you are a business owner, even if you think it's a side hustle, it's not really a side hustle. It is a business, and you need to treat it like a business. That's what I'm hearing from you, Caylee, is making sure you act like a business owner. So you have business bank accounts, and you are intentional with the dollars that flow through your hands. So go out there, listen to Caylee. Don't listen to me, even though I'm the podcast host here. Like, she's telling you, this is what worked for her. She wants you to have the same feeling she has right now. There's going to be hard times. You got to get things up and running, but you want to have a system once you have that thing up and running. So this is what she's imploring you to do. So please go out and listen to Caylee and set up an account. Make sure you've got a business checking account. Have an owner's comp account. Make sure you're paying yourself a tax account so you don't have to worry about taxes. So just give yourself some of that peace of mind. So Caylee, this has been awesome. I appreciate all your insight here. How could people get in touch with you if you want to connect with people?
The best way would be on Instagram. My handle is The Daily Caylee.
The Daily Caylee. Look at this. If you're on YouTube, I can actually show you because of these handy dandy banners that they have on StreamYard here. So there it is, The Daily Caylee. And that's Caylee, Caylee, if you are on the podcast just listening to us right now. So it's The Daily Caylee. If you want to connect with her there. I want to also encourage you to go out there and do what Caylee said. Set up those accounts. Just start to think of yourself as a business owner, and you will start to act differently. It's our thoughts that control our actions. So listen to her and make sure you think of yourself. And that goes if you're an agent, if you're a real estate investor. We're all business owners at the end of the day. So Caylee, this has been great. I feel like that was the whole episode there and just a tiny snapshot at the end. Treat yourself like a business owner, and you'll end up like the good business owners have. They have good systems. They have the cash that they need. Any final words you'd like to say to anyone else here?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on. And if you're listening to this and you have no idea what we're talking about, what's Profit First? How do I get this magic secret sauce? There is no magic secret sauce. Just reach out to Simple CFO. That's where we can help you. We can implement Profit First. We could get your numbers in order. If you're allergic to spreadsheets, reach out to us at simplecfo.com. We want to help you keep more of the hard-earned money. And remember, make profit a habit in your business. That's it for today's show. Be sure to subscribe, review, and share this episode. If you're serious about financial systems and keeping more of your profit, visit simplecfo.com to take your free discovery call today.